All right, ink on the needle. So today is Primitive Tattoo Day. What I'm going to demonstrate to you all is how I go about giving myself my stick and poke tattoos with primitive tools. Essentially with a variety of bone needles, and today I'm also going to experiment with some teeth. I have quite a bit of tattoos, and many of the tattoos on my body I've done myself through a traditional stick and poke means. But I also want to caveat that in my early 20s, I'd actually spent some time behind a tattoo machine doing some tattoos for friends while I was in the Marine Corps. You found a tattoo magazine, you ordered a tattoo machine out of it, and you started doing tattoos. But even though I have a lot of tattoos, it doesn't absolutely make me a great tattooist or tattoo artist. But I do have quite a bit of experience doing some stick and poke tattoos through that traditional kind of bone needle way. Needles, my ink, and then some of the things that I use to make my needles as well as sharpen my needles. So first things first, these are my style of tattoo needle. It's a split piece of bone, leg femur of a deer. I split it out, ground it down, and made a point. This tattoo needle is one that I've used before, and this one's brand new. This sort of needle right here, essentially just a bone fragment. Whether you pull it out, you smash it out, or you score it out, it allows me to do all my actual stick and poke. A wing bone of a goose, and I've never used a wing bone of a goose. I've used some turkey leg bones, but I'm going to try this one out today. It's a caribou poker. It's worked down to a nice little tip, and that's another one I'm going to be using today as well. So this little pen poker right here is just another bone needle that's set inside this handle. A little bit more stock on a tool to throw those stick and pokes in. This right here is a tapping style where it rests on the skin. I tap on the back, it drives the ink in. This is actually the tooth of a hog. Tooth enamel is stronger than bone, and this tip really holds its edge pretty well, but it's kind of small for me to hold in my hand. So from these teeth and this bone, this is where I'm drawing out most of my tattoo needles. When it comes to making your ink, there's a lot of different methods to making ink. The tattoos that are on my feet use the creosote bush, and I've essentially smudged it. As I burn the bush, I hold a shell over the top of that burn. That black soot collects on my shell. I flip it over, I condense it, add some water, and I have a really fantastic ink. When I don't have creosote, I definitely go with wood char. And I kind of have a three-system process to making my ink. First, I'm going to use this little mortar and pestle, and I'm going to break up all of my big wood char. Once I have it into a fine powder, I transition it into my tap bowl. I can give them a little bit more attention. I can tap them down, break them down a little bit finer. What I'm looking to do is tap. I'm going to get my heavier, bigger pieces to one side, and I'm going to get my finer stuff in the middle, and I'm going to get my real powdery material right on that edge. So I can tap it together. I can separate it. It's going to follow that tap, and right there you can see that I've got all of my heavier materials sitting right up on this one side, and my finer materials are sitting right down here. This is paramount for when you're working wood char as your ink. Once I have that material kind of separated, I've given it some real good taps, and I can scrape that powder in. Even once I get some of that char up on that edge and I tap it, you'll start to see that it forms. The finest powder actually rises to the top, and that gives me the opportunity to really kind of harvest it in a simple way. It's following those vibrations up, and I can remove it. This is just a little bit at a time. Tap it into my shell, condense it. That is my ink powder. I'll add a little bit of water. The key for this is the actual mix, because that wood char will start to break down in that water. Once I'm mixing and I see nothing but black ink, that right there is my tell that my ink is in that right phase. It's consistent, it's not too watery. If it's too thick and it's not a drop, add a little bit more water. If it's too runny, then you might want to add a little bit more char. To get this mix right, it's really by eye. Sharpening bone needles, you do not want to sharpen forward. So this is called draw sharpening. All I'm doing is I'm drawing my bone needle towards me. This is my fine sharpening. This one over here is that little bit more of shaping the needle. This one right here is sharpening, but I'm only drawing the bone needle towards me. I'm never going forward. You can round out your tips and it becomes a problem. Always draw your needle towards you. So even though I'm going to be doing a tattoo here pretty shortly on my leg, I'm still going to be employing just a little spray bottle with some water. You just want to make sure you've got good, clean needles, even though they are bone. I have boiled all of these out. Let's draw on my design, and then we'll start slinging some ink. Let's do that dot. I'm using red ink just so when I am throwing ink on this guy, I'm not mixing my wood char ink with a black marker or something to that extent. I just use a contrasting color that's somewhat bright. I'm going to set up my kind of tattoo station and we'll get ready to rock and roll. Do a quick little sharpen on all these needles. I'm always pulling my needles towards me, never going forward. There's that little pull sharpen. And then I like to use a little contrasting color for whatever I'm up against so I can see just how sharp. I avoid using my finger to test the sharpness. You know, the skin on my finger is real tough. This is really going to start dulling it to kind of even test it. A real important thing to remember when you're tattooing is that if I'm wiping stuff away, I'm kind of always wiping in one direction. So I'm actually going to start here, work my way up, because I'll be kind of wiping this way, and then I'll come to this side over here and I'll be wiping this way. What I want to do is avoid wiping ink into the area that I'm tattooing. So as I progress up, I'm pulling all of my ink down this way, eliminating the smearing of my lines and my kind of overall design. It just gives me an opportunity to kind of always be working into a clean area as I move forward. Also, I want to keep my skin at a form of tension. It will look like you're distorting your tattoo as you're pulling it this way, but this is tension, that's return. So I'm moving my skin, wanting to keep it as tight as possible. When I keep it at tension, it makes it nice and easy to put ink into it, and when I release it, it should return back to its kind of natural design. All right, ink on the needle. Nice and sharp. Now, as far as your depth that you're looking at, you should not be pushing your needle in so far that it is overwhelmingly painful. It will be painful. You are looking for just to push that needle below that skin. I'm not sure the technical name of that area in the flesh. You're going to go over once or twice. I do, at least. Because even though as I'm pushing my needle into my skin, good, I can feel the depth every single time, but that kind of consistent pain amount, I guess you could say in a real simple form, is my kind of measurement. If I'm driving it in too far, it's really going to hurt. If I'm putting it in just enough, then it's going to kind of be that consistent pain as compliance reminder. Alright, just after a couple passes, you kind of see that's my first circle. Alright, let's try this caribou horn for this corner. sharp. All right, went up to there, to there. Kind of work our way up and around. I think that caribou, I mean, that's the caribou line. That was this little split bone line. I think maybe just because it's a little bit thicker, maybe I'm pushing it a little bit harder. Let's give one more little tap in there. Now let's try this bird bone. I just did exactly what shouldn't do. Let's That's not good. That is. Just like rolled right out. Three pokes with that, and that ain't gonna work. I'm gonna have to maybe get a thicker bone. Let's go to just my old school guy. So that's good. Let's try this guy. I'm so intrigued. I've never tapped a tattoo on there, but I guess we'll just, yeah, we'll try it. Bloop. This is a hog's tooth, and I can't see shit. Puts it in. This is just hard for me to control. Making dots. I think I'll just go with my regular needle. Let's make some progress on this. Back to this guy. I think I'm gonna roll with this one for the most of the day. Caribou's good for a little bit. This was dull as anything, and these will just be some backup ones. Let's get cranking on this. I've got about halfway to go. So we are working our way down. I've done this little circle and this bar here. One thing I want to add is you've got a couple passes on your lines before your skin really starts to tenderize and just really becomes difficult to work with. So I try to put as much ink in as I can right off the bat. You got to do it right the first time. Put the ink in there. Don't be shy with it. Put it in thick. First pass, you're really making that entry, checking your depth. That second pass, you're just reintroducing some more ink. If you got to do it a third time, it's not the end of the world, but just know it's going to be a little bit more tender when you are throwing in your ink into that design. A little bit more right there. This needle has been getting dull. It's probably forcing me to push it in a little bit harder. Just give it a couple. That looks pretty good. Back at it. Touch-ups. Alright, let's see. I'm going to add anything? This is where I get crazy because now I'm like, alright, I could probably put something else on there. Something like that. No. I think that works. I think we are good to go. It's pretty good. It's nothing, no gaps. We'll take it. No doubt this little style of stick and poke is really my preferred. The bird bone, nothing. Caribou antler worked pretty well in the beginning, and then I felt like it just dulled out. I don't know if maybe because maybe that moisture got in there, impacted it, but then I was having to push real deep. But these two little guys, those were the number ones. Yeah, if you're more curious about my tattoos, inked December issue 2021, just put Ink Magazine Donny Dust in your search bar and it will pop up. It goes into a lot of my tattoos and a little bit more of my philosophy about them. But I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm going to treat this tattoo as I would any tattoo, safeguard it. It is a wound and I'm going to treat it as such. But that is how I go about making a stick and poke traditional primitive tattoo. And hope you enjoyed. See you in the bush. Thanks for watching.